Three, two, one, let's go. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode on the George Habib podcast. The topic of today is one that I wanted to basically be relatable to all of us struggling youngish people out there. And it has to do with the feeling of lostness, the feeling of pointlessness, and the struggles we go through in the workplace today and in today's current world. Hopefully I have a guest to present this better than I just did, and this is the guest we brought on today. I welcome Ahad to the stand. How's it going, Ahad?
Going well, going well. I don't know about Canada, but it's getting rainy here. So,
Rainy?
yes, the winter is upon us.
Winters, you're complaining about rain? Bro, my summer was rain, my current is snow.
That's what all Canadians tell me. I have a family in Canada. They also complain about the same thing. But in Pakistan, they complain about it being too warm. So,
Yeah, well, even the warm part you can't complain because I grew up in Dubai.
yeah,
So we're
exactly.
talking about 50 degrees Celsius in Dubai and minus 50 degrees Celsius here in Canada. I can't relax. It's not allowed in my life. That's what
You're
the
getting
fates
the
have for me.
you're getting the best of both worlds. That's how I would say it.
Yeah. But Ahad, I believe you are a podcaster yourself with your own Instagram and YouTube channel. Could you please tell us more about that?
Indeed. So Wassel is a project that I've been working on in which we try to have difficult conversations and we try to make them a bit easier to understand. And one of those conversations is a conversation like what we're having today. And
Mm.
we're going to be discussing about mental health. And we want to make such a nuanced topic a bit more simpler. But I don't want to make it easy in the sense that we dumb it down. We still want to talk about all the nuance that is involved. But we want to still break it down for people who are feeling a little bit lost and don't understand exactly, they can pinpoint what the feeling is, but when they listen to this podcast, I hope they can be like, that's what I was thinking, that's what I was feeling.
Perfect. I feel like there's a lot of that we need out there, especially in terms of today's topic. I hope it's not too much of a difficult podcast to get topic to get into, but yeah, let's see where it goes. But guys, as I said, Ahad has his own podcast. He's got his own channel, his own Instagram. The links will be down below, so please give him a follow, give him subscribe, and follow his amazing content. And even for our channel ourselves, if you haven't already done so, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share our social media. So, having said that, Ahad, let's get into this topic. The
Yes.
topic of today is why are we, specifically people in our demographic, male, female in their 20s, 30s, maybe even 40s, why do we feel so lost and depressed in today's world where, at least my opinion, and this is me kind of admitting something, it feels pointless? Why do I wake up every day?
It's a very good way to start, to be honest. Why do I wake up every day? Because I feel like what we have lost, George, in this day and age is the concept of purpose in life. When you have a lot of money or when you have a lot of aspirations, when you have a lot of things around you to do, you start losing who you are as a person and you start running after what you want to do or need to do. And I think that's in essence the problem. If I ask you about something that, hey, what do you want to be in life? What do you want to do in life? You're probably going to talk about a job. You're going to talk about something you want to be. Want to be a footballer? You told me you played American football. Maybe you wanted to become a professional footballer, right? But the problem is those things sometimes seem unrealistic. And when those are unrealistic, you just pivot to the next best thing, which is comfort and stability. You're like, oh, at least a paying job, a family, a house, and I'm good to go. But that doesn't give you purpose. It doesn't give you meaning. And I think that's what I want to talk about. So if I ask you the question, George, what gives you meaning? What would your answer be?
Nothing. That's my problem, because and like I don't want it to be like just a nonchalant answer because I feel like right now I'm in the point in my life where I'm just working in my job to exist. My job's decent, it pays well, it's okay. I'm fortunate to have it, but that stereotype where it's like you live to work, but rather you're not working to live. That's my
Indeed.
situation right now. I'm in Canada My family is elsewhere. Like I wasn't originally from here, so I feel like this pervasive sense of isolation, and with that isolation comes like this nihilism point of view where I feel like I'm just going through the motions and it's going to look this way for the rest of my life. I feel like a lot of people out there also feel like a very similar mindset.
But a very good question on that is, why is it a problem that if this is what the rest of your life is?
Mhm.
What a part of today in George's week doesn't give him energy?
I don't know. If I have to like put my finger of it, it's like I don't have a purpose. People who watch my channel know that I'm quite popular for nagging and complaining, so that's what I'll do right now. Um, the way I look at my life, if I had to like put the camera on my life and watch it, it would be like, so I'm working pretty hard at this company where there seems to be no chance of promotion so far. I work for managers who, my only value to them is my hours, not even my productivity, just the hours I put in. I work for a company that will replace me in a heartbeat if they find someone cheaper and not necessarily better. And then I go back home. Sure, I have more money, more stability than before, but what's it going towards? I'm 29, bro. I'm not like in my early 20s. I'm not like seeing the world ahead of me and all the potential. I feel like finish. I'm at the midlife. Okay, we don't live in like the 1800s where midlife is, where like the end of life expectancy is
Uh,
60. But
That's
like,
what I was
I,
thinking as well.
yeah, like I saw it in your face. I'm like, okay, we don't die at 60 anymore. But I still feel like I'm at like, that's it. Like, this is like the life I'm set for. I want to start a family, but the dating pool isn't great these days. We can get into that in terms of like social media, dating apps, and like people's expectations. I want to buy a house, but dude, houses are like approaching like 8 times the price they were back when I was a kid. So I really regret not getting a mortgage when I was 5 years old and playing with crayons. That's my biggest regret so far. So then it's like, if I'm not going to start a family, if I'm not dating someone, if it's looking like I can't really afford a house in the future, what's the point of living? Am I here just to be born, suffer, and die, to put it candidly? And I'm seeing a lot of this mindset in my friends, in people online, on strangers.
Yeah, I get completely what you're saying, and it makes sense that it feels like life is not going anywhere. That you're on this treadmill, right? Standing in the same place. Houses are getting more expensive. I'm not getting promoted. My life feels like on a standstill. But what I always task people when they tell me these kind of things, I'm like, why is it a problem to be able to stand still? Why are we taught that we always need to run and keep going and grow? There's a saying, right? If you don't move forward, you're moving back.
Hmm.
But why are you moving? Why can't you just stay in the present and just enjoy it? Yes, I completely believe in growth and learning and curiosity. You should always know more than knew yesterday. You should always learn a little bit more every day. But I don't care if you're working the same job for the last 30 years of your life and you're happy. You're like, I trade in my hours for money that I can use to actually do the life I want to do, right?
Mhm.
Make the life I want to make. Sure, I work the same way as well. It was very transactionary in nature. I work 8 hours a day, I give them my best, and then I take the money that I get from that 8 hours, and I then do these little projects on the side. I do some time with my daughter, with my wife. I have fun. I travel the world. If that gives me energy, it actually gives my wife more energy than me. It just bothers me that I'm spending so much money to eat the same thing I can eat in Holland, like ramen, but there because it's more authentic. But the idea is the same, right? It all boils down, George, from me into energy, and that's what you call purpose as well. And one thing that I always ask people to do is, okay, leave what you're doing, think what you want to do. What would give you energy today, George? And I think that's a good place to start.
Right, I get what you're saying. Like, live in the present, but to push back a bit on that, like my present, and I feel the present of a lot of people in the same similar circumstances as me is not looking that great, because Number one, I gotta give you all the respect in the world. I had like you said like my wife, my daughter. You started a family. You're doing whatever. Like a lot of us like feel like we really need to work hard to doing what's seemingly more impossible to do. So I have to give you a lot of respect for that because that's what I want. You know, but again, back to the present thing. For me, the present feels like such a bleak place with like not much going on. And I find myself, I keep looking to the past of my childhood where I miss stuff like SpongeBob, Ed, Ed and Eddie, like, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network,
Oh,
Disney before
one
it became garbage. Like, I keep looking to my past, which is a very unhealthy thing because, you're supposed to build your present. But
indeed.
right now in my present, here, me by myself, a single bachelor in Canada, away from like my family, it's depressing. If I want to go out and have fun with friends, I have to be a guy who likes to go out clubbing. And I don't like clubbing anymore. I got that all in my system in university. And if I want to go find a community, let's say if I want to join a church, because I'm Christian, other people can join a mosque, or Jewish, they can join temple, I think. Not quite sure.
Synagogue.
Uh, you go to a church here and it seems to be very ideological based instead of community based. Like, bro, tell me about the Bible. Don't tell me about current political identity ideation. Tell me about Jesus, not LGBT and all this.
Indeed,
And
indeed.
then and then let's say I do want to go start a hobby. I don't know about the economy in the Netherlands, which I believe is where you're at right now, but
Yeah.
everything is so darn expensive here in Canada. Like because of inflation, because of taxes. So if let's say you want to travel, pretty expensive. You want to go to a chalet with your friends, pretty expensive. You want to go have a nice restaurant, a nice dinner at a restaurant outside, pretty expensive. So yeah, it just feels pointless. Why don't I
I,
just stay inside, eat junk food, game, and watch pornography? Because
well,
that's cheaper.
yeah, but that doesn't mean okay. I love what you all just said, and the ending was such a cliffhanger that I'm taken aback. So I'm up now, right? I'm not sitting back anymore. I'm up now because I think like this is where it's going. So George, I don't own a house. This house you see behind me, I don't own it, right? But I have a family.
Yo,
I,
first of all, I gotta say it looks so nice. I thought it was like a Zoom
it was
background.
a Zoom background. That's my wife has fingerprints all over it. She should work as an interior designer, but I don't own this house. Right, this is all rental behind me, right? And if I waited for a house, I wouldn't be married and with a kid, to be really honest. Because yeah, I don't see myself buying a house for the next 2 years either. And I told my wife this. I said, she says, let's buy a house. We have a family. Because again, George, we are taught these things. Like our parents were taught that, okay, you get old, you get married, you get kids, you get a house, you get a car, you're in Canada, but the American dream, right? But the point is, like, this is not necessarily how life needs to be lived. Maybe you can be a lifelong renter. I don't really believe in buying a house because this is such a central location that I'm living in a really good place. If I buy a house, it'll be shit expensive here. I'll have to go outside the city. And if I go outside the city, I won't be living the life that I'm living right now, that I can just message my friends, ask them where they are. They're like, I'm here. Okay, I'm coming in 10 minutes. I can't do that when I'm living outside the city, right? So there are trade-offs in life that I need to understand. And when you talk about the dating pool or like it feels like you're not going anywhere, I always feel like you can control what you can control, right? You try your best. A friend of mine always said you shoot your shot, right? And you get shot down, that's fine, but you shoot your shot, right? We were discussing about me WhatsApping my new business to my friends and my network, right? Even before giving myself a chance to be shot down, I'm shooting myself down first by not even messaging up to them because I feel awkward, I feel anxious from the inside, that I don't want to ask for help. And I think, George, this is where it all comes back to what you said. The most important thing that from everything you said to me was that, okay, I feel like when I come home, there's nothing to do because there's no family, there's no wife or kids, there's no community for me. And I think that's where most of us are struggling. Because I know exactly how you feel. I've been living in this country for 6 years. I moved here from my wife. I have no community here of my own. My wife and her family and her friends are the only people here, and I don't hang out with them much. But when I moved here 5 6 years ago, most of my network was online, my Pakistani friends. and I still am in contact with them. And for the first 3 years of my life, I told my wife I don't need any friends. I have my online friends. We play games all the time. We don't watch pornography together, but we do a lot of things together online, right? And
I
I
don't
thought
think
that
that's
was
a
like,
group activity.
I don't think that is a community to begin with, right? I had to find it physically here, and I did slowly, slowly. I had to grow it. I had to get out of my comfort zone. And I feel like that's what's happening, George. People do not want to get out of their comfort zone. Life has become so easy. At a click of a button, you get food. At a click of a button, you get a dopamine hit from just scrolling and posting on social media. At a click of a button, you can shop whatever you want to shop. At a click of a button, you can go also please yourself if you want to do. Right? It's all at a click of a button. So we, as a generation, have lost the meaning of effort. We don't put any effort anymore, and sometimes that is what is missing, because effort doesn't mean reward. If you click, you always get what you need. When you click on Amazon, you get it. When you click on social media, you get it, right? We're used to getting whatever we want when you put in the effort, but in reality that's not how it works. Building a community is a lot of effort in which you might not get something back in the start. I have a meetup group here that I'm building. I'm not joking. Hosted 3 events on meetup. 3 events, 2 people showed up each. It was like a 15 people event. I put effort. I printed out things. I laminated them. George. You know how serious it is when you laminate something? It's not just an
Yeah.
A4 paper, it's on plastic and everything. People didn't show up. I was heartbroken. I wanted to shut down the meetup group, but people told me this is how it is. You're
But
building a
I want to ask you, are we as a generation doing the easier stuff because it's better than doing the hard stuff? Or are we doing the easy stuff because it's all we can do? Like, is that our limited option? Because, like, I agree with you. Life is completely easier. And I agree with my dad and my mother because they complain about this every day. We have a conversation. You guys have it so easy. Your life is easier. Back when I was a child, I had polio and there was civil war and we didn't have TV. We didn't have TikTok. It's like, first of all, I don't have TikTok either. I don't use it.
yeah.
But like I do agree, our lives are definitely easier. But where I argue with my parents. Sorry, where I have a calm discussion with my parents. No, I argue with them. Is that look, our lives may be easier. We have television. We have this house and everything, but success has become way harder. Like like I said, the hours we put into work they mean less and less and less because we can go technical and talk about purchasing power and inflation, or we can just say we can buy less with what we earn, even though that number is bigger than it was before. And like, and I feel like all this spoiledness of our generation is residual. Like me, I have this place, I have this gaming PC, I have this recording equipment because I spent my money on it. But I had money to spend on it because my parents are supporting me a bit in rent. But what happens, and a lot of people are in this situation where they're well into their 20s and 30s. I've even seen a case where 40 and their parents are still supporting them. And we're in this situation where we can still have some breathing room to complain because our parents support us. But what happens when they die? Like, what happens when they're gone and we don't have that financial support or emotional and spiritual support anymore? I feel like the second that generation above us, passes on, we're going to see a big collapse because we've lost a lot of security that our parents gave us, and it's becoming harder to gain new security separate from our parents. And that is a good job, a good house, good investments. Like, so yeah, back to the original question. Do you feel we are picking easy over hard, or easy is all we have?
No, I think it's human to be easy. I'll ask you a very simple question. If you are in the forest and you are thirsty and there's a river right next to you and there's a river across the mountain, where would you go to drink water?
Which one's cleaner?
Both are cleaner
Both
equally.
are clean?
Yeah.
The,
Which
the
one
one
are you
next
going
to
to?
me.
Because human beings, the path of least resistance, right? And this is a very good analogy you said. Which one is cleaner? And that's what we forget, George, that all things on the click of a tap are not cleaner, but we are told that they're cleaner. That's why we use it all the time. Junk food is not cleaner, it's easier. It's easier to order out. It's easier to eat junk food filled with all ultra processed stuff. It makes you feel like you're tasting good food, but you're not. And because of that, actual healthy, tasty food doesn't exist in our minds anymore. We don't like vegetables anymore. We don't want to eat lentils anymore. We don't like all of that stuff anymore because we want to eat burgers and pastas and all of that stuff, right?
Yeah,
So
it's a cheap dopamine hit.
it's a cheap dopamine hit, and that's the problem. Society has been designed in such a way that easy is all we have now. And in that, yes, I don't blame you per se or the generation, because society was created by the generation above us, right? And
Mhm.
there's also this, as you said, the security blanket concept of this generation above us. That is also a little bit on them, right? That they were raising kids in a way that they made them dependent on it. And I know that firsthand. I can't speak for the Western people. You were raised in the East, but I don't know if it's the same as South Asia, where we are literally raised by mothers who love to be relevant.
Oh yeah.
and
No,
and
we
it
have
isn't,
that.
and it isn't by choice. It is not like that they're deviously doing this, but that's what they've been taught, that we can't live without them. I'm not joking. My brothers, before they moved abroad, they could not know where their clothes were. They wouldn't pick up their dishes. They sometimes wouldn't even eat, and my mom would be putting food in their mouth with her own hands,
Mm.
because mom is like, that's all we do, mothers give. I'm like, yeah, but you're not giving here, you're spoiling. And because of that, that person is not equipped to walk into society and become a functionally contributing adult, right? So this is the mess we have. A generation that spoiled us, an economic system that is collapsing around us. But to be honest, George, 2008 also happened, right? 1929 also happened, right? 2015 in Europe also happened. There were crashes and crashes and crashes, but people came through over it. How? Because people do. They need purpose and meaning. And I think that purpose and meaning only comes if we start looking at what we can change and stop looking at what others and what things are going wrong, because that's again a problem of social media and the information overload, that we look at all the negatives around us, because negativity sells. And it is not your fault or my fault for focusing on the negative. That's how we are as humans. If you had to, in the past, if you were in a tribe and you would always be worried about another tribe or a tiger coming into your camp, you would be successful. So we're evolutionarily geared to be looking out for problems, because that's what our survival depended on it. But now it doesn't, right? Now, if you forget to keep your door locked in the night, I don't know about Canada. In the US, that would be pretty scary. But in Canada, you can keep the door unlocked. Worst case scenario, someone steals something. You still won't die, right? It's a
Yeah.
completely different ball game. So tell me your thoughts about that. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I think we're on a big agreement. The agreement is like we do like it's in our hands to do something about it. Like what other choice do we have? We have to take responsibility for our lives. But the thing is, and I believe we discussed this in a previous conversation, our generation needs to take responsibility for the hands we're dealt, but it's not our fault. Because you said yourself, our parents spoiled us. But I wouldn't say just they spoiled us, they didn't teach us anything. Because our parents, they grew up in this, and you can like look at statistics, you can look at documents about it. They grew up in this period of time where there was economic booms everywhere, there was potential everywhere. You start a business, you can find a market for it almost anywhere. It was pretty simple: work hard, make money, put some money in a business, make more money. And I feel like this is a skill set that was never taught to us, because I feel we are the education generation. As my dad and my mom keep telling me, like, oh, your grandmother taught me this, your grandpa took me to the farm and showed me how to do this. I love my parents. I really do. They didn't teach me any of that stuff. My parents expected me to learn Arabic. They put me in an English school and they didn't speak Arabic to me much at home. So I speak Arabic now, but that took its sweet time. My parents expected me to know the Bible. They never read the Bible to me. They put me in a Arabic Sunday school to learn the Bible. Well, I don't speak Arabic, so how is that going to work? My dad has his own business. He didn't take me to work every day. He didn't show me how his business was being run. And my mom, and I think this is specifically a brown mother thing, they will complain about you not doing chores, but when you make any attempt to wash the dishes, any attempt to make your bed, any attempt to vacuum the house, they will scream at you. They will say, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to replace me? That's not how you do it. Don't do it anymore. So, we don't even learn those skills. Our parents expected us to go to school, learn everything important for life. And the fact is, what did we learn? Greek poetry? We learned that, what's it called? Mitosis? Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Did we learn taxes? No. Did we learn finances? No. Did we learn organization skills, business administration? Did we learn like how to plan our path throughout college? No. So I feel like we need to acknowledge the disadvantages. We have advantages. Of course, we have advantages. We're not struggling in like some tiny village dying of malaria. But like we also need to acknowledge that our generation and the generations forward, we started out wrong. You know, we are lacking in terms of discipline. We are lacking in terms of like knowledge and experience. And even though I say this is not our fault, this is actually the fault of previous generations, I agree with you. We need to do something about it. But to do something about it, you have to first diagnose yourself and see what the issue with because I feel like we cannot go to all these depressed people, these stressed out, burnt out young people out there and say, "Hey, you're weak, you're lazy. This problem came out of nowhere and started with you. It has nothing to do with the previous generations." So I think acknowledgement is the first solution.
I think I 100% agree. Awareness is the first solution, right? And the problem is we as a human are very short-sighted, right? We will never look back enough. And we talked about this offline as well, right? If you point back to the generation, they will point back to the generation before. They will point back to the generation before. That's how it always works, right? In the current conflict as well, what's happening in the Middle East, they all keep pointing to one number, right? October 7th. October 7th. Yeah, but what
We're
about
talking
before?
specifically about Palestine.
Yeah, like like generally, what is the date? There is no hard line, and that's why I don't talk about these things because there is no point. You are missing the broader context, right? You need to bring everything in. It doesn't start at one arbitrary day. It doesn't start at one arbitrary time or at one arbitrary generation. It was a mix of a lot of things that were happening. It was parents that were disabling you. Yes, to be honest, disabling you because they thought that it's all about learning. My dad did the same thing. He said, "Go study, become successful." I'm like, "Yeah, but with what?" What she said to me was so amazing because that's exactly what my dad did. We have a joke in the family that whatever my dad touched turned into gold because that's what we were doing basically was he used to take stuff from China, bring it to Saudi Arabia or Dubai and sell it, and he would sell everything. Then we would go back to China and bring more, and then slowly we got rich, so he started bringing in containers, sold. And in this generation now he's still doing a business and he's struggling. And I'm like, "Why are you struggling, Dad? Because you had everything you touched was into gold." He's like, "Yeah, but this is not working." And his strategy is still the same. "Give me more money, I'll put more clothes into the store and they're going to sell." I'm like, "No, it's not going to sell because now brand positioning matters. There's a lot of competition in the market. Your clothes are not the only clothes that are available. There are more things now. People have different choices, sustainable, blah, 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 blah." It's not as easy as it was before.
Yeah.
Before, all you need to do was just grind, right? Just grind. The harder you worked, the more successful you're going to get. But now it's how smarter you're going to work. It's not
Ahad,
hard
I feel
anymore.
like we have very similar backgrounds. Like, I'm not gonna say we have the same father because that sounds pretty darn weird. But my dad also he works in the construction industry. He buys from other countries. He sells into Dubai. The same thing as your father. My dad specifically door frames, doorknobs, and security features. I don't know what commodity your father
Yeah.
works with, but and like him like I used to remember he'd always like be relaxed and calm because when we were young, because he was doing so well financially, his hard work was paying off. He opened this very successful company. And like, if the problem was just like the future generation, again, why is he struggling too today? My answer to that, because like witnessing how my dad worked, because I would go with him these days, not when I was young. Now I go with him to meetings sometimes. And from what I see is that people his age, other business owners his age, a handshake meant something. Their word meant something. They all knew each other by name. They all had coffee together. You know those little cups, the little finjane. They used to have coffee together. They used to like, sorry, not complain about their wives. They used to critique their wives, let's say, and like there was camaraderie, there was brotherhood, you know. And then they would make business and do their best not to screw each other over. But the point is, they didn't pass this to their sons. In these meetings, I never saw them with their little sons sitting next to them, watching and learning everything. No, their son was at school learning Little Einstein or watching Little Einstein or playing on their iPad or something. So the thing is, when you are part of a culture of like, what's it called? genuine. You guys are genuine.
Yeah.
Your words seem something, but you don't pass that on to the next generation. And suddenly the next generation starts replacing your friends. Like, okay, your friend didn't teach his son, but now his son replaced him. So he doesn't have the same value as your friend. He doesn't have the same value as you. He's looking to make easy money. Maybe he sells his company to a multinational. Maybe he still owns the company, but he left the running of his company to a third party. Or maybe he himself is like, you know what, why am I working so hard for this? Just buy the cheapest products. I don't care if it breaks. I don't care about my dad's old connections. Just, get a turnover. I don't care.
Yeah.
That's why, like, even now, the consequences of what the previous generation did is now spilling back onto them.
Indeed.
And
Indeed.
then I feel like, but the focus of this episode is us. It's this generation, the millennials, the Gen Z. What do we do about it, Ahad? Like you say, like, take ownership of your life. Make a decision. It's all in your hands. Like, but what do you think we should do? Like, should we look at the previous generation and mimic what they did that was successful, or are we supposed to come up with something completely new?
I think, to be honest, you can do whatever you want to do as long as you do something. Because what I'm seeing here now in our generation, George, is people are paralyzed. This whole dopamine hit that is coming in while you're sitting at home in the dark, scrolling, or watching TV mindlessly, right? Or posting on TikTok just for the views. You're stuck. And that's not the good kind of stuck, right? As I said in the start of the podcast, you're moving, you're going backwards, and you can stand still. I'm all for standing still, but this is not standing still. This is getting stuck in the mud, and you're not able to move because of so many things around you are happening so fast. Change is happening. So go back 30 years, go back 50 years. There was no telephone, proper telephone. There was landlines. From there, we move on from landline to a cell phone to a mobile phone to what we have now.
Dial up internet.
You went through it too fast, and we did not evolve as quickly as the technology around us evolved. And that's also paralyzing us, because now we're like, oh shit, what do we learn this, do we learn that? This generation, so many kids learned coding, right? Software development. Why? Oh, because the software development era, booming era, but now software development is obsolete. AI can write your code for you. So what? Now let's go into AI. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to jump to the next thing because we're so focused on surviving. But that's not, in my eyes, that's not how you need to focus on your life. You need to focus on a purpose. That purpose can be your community. That purpose can be your family. That purpose can be your friends. That purpose can be a career, to be honest, George. If you're like, you know what, I'm a very ambitious person, I want to get somewhere, you're going to put in more hours, you're going to do more things. But that's what gives you energy. Sitting at home, getting stuck and doing this is easy dopamine hits, but it doesn't give you energy. And you know why? You know how I know if a thing gives you energy or not, George? Is when you're done with it, do you feel happy or sad? So ask yourself your question: when you are scrolling on TikTok mindlessly or on Instagram mindlessly for an hour, and after that, do you feel good about yourself? Do you feel good that you spent? No. If you are
I
watching
wonder
TV
where all the
mindlessly,
time went.
exactly, that already gives you a very easy answer that this is your psychology playing a joke on you. In reality, you're not happy here. But when you go work out, you hate it. But when you're done with it, does it give you energy or not? You feel satisfied. You're like, oh shit, I did something. When you're building a presentation, it sucks. But when you deliver the presentation, it becomes successful. The company approves your project or something. You get energy. You're like, oh shit, that was fun. You don't get drained. Oh, that was an effort. You get energy. And that's what we're missing. We're missing people and their focus on what gives them energy. Because of ease has replaced energy. Now it's not about what gives you energy, it's about what gives you ease. And that's where we're stuck, basically, George. So my
But Ahmed,
question
is
is,
this all on
yeah,
purpose? Is this a consequence of an increasingly technologically advanced and modernizing world? Like, is it like an unintended consequence? Or do we actually have like business owners, celebrities, government people going out there and being like, listen, I don't want to deal with competition for my business. So let's turn everyone into the perpetual employee. Or, listen, or politicians being like, listen, I don't want people to focus on the economy. Let's put let's put more identities out there on the flag. That will make them happy instead of being able to afford a house or having less taxes. Like are there companies? Because when I see, for example, media today compared to media before I could laugh. Tom and Jerry, it had guns, it had knives. Shows back then, you had to like follow these complicated plots. If you look at media today, it's like, bro, is this for a 5-year-old? Is this for a 4-year-old? Like, there's no violence. There's no consequence of the character's decision. Everything is kumbaya, hippie happy, happy, happy. I learned nothing. This is not reality. So now we have like a new generation of people, and I think it's going to hit Gen Z worse than us. And Gen X, I don't know, does Gen X exist yet? I think
No,
your
Gen
kids
X is
maybe.
before us. We're before Gen X. We're millennials. Gen X
Sorry,
comes before us.
Gen. What comes after Gen Z then? Like,
No, I think
we're
it
Gen
goes back.
Y.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Then there you have Gen Z, and I don't know what's after that. Probably it's gonna restart the
Gen
alphabet.
whatever Elon Musk's kid name is. You know that complicated name. Like they're not facing reality. They're going to come out into this world like squishy. Like,
But
is
that's
this
what
on
we,
purpose?
but that's what we also did, right? We came out of this world thoroughly unprepared because our parents did not prepare us properly. We were partly the generation of helicopter parenting, right? Participation trophies.
Ugh.
It came in our generation, right? It wasn't in the generation before. Oh, you did a good job. Here you go. Thank you for trying. No, you should not. You should not make it easy for us. Life is supposed to be hard, George. That's why it's worth it. That's why it's worth it to live. If it was easy, you won't really enjoy it. When your dad looks back throughout his life, he's going to remember those days when it was difficult to get out of bed, and he loves it. He's like, I got through that. The sense of triumph, the heroic, that's the story of the hero, right? The heroic epic that all
Mm.
exists for a reason. We love drama and effort, and now everything is becoming too easy. Now you asked me the question that is it by design, and I'll be honest with you, I'm a bit confused myself. I know for a fact social media is by design, but that design only goes to profit making, right? It is only to get more money. The like button was introduced on purpose. The color of your notifications being red so that it attracts you because red is the color of danger. So evolutionarily, we look for red first before you look for anything else. If you notice, the recording thing on the top is also left.
I don't
Why?
know,
Because
man. When I go out dating, I seem to miss all the red flags.
because they're not
Sorry to
there.
go back to
It's
your
a good
discussion.
joke. That I liked it. But the point is, it is all by design to keep you addicted. It is all by design to keep you in that thing because you're the customer, you're the commodity that they're trying to sell to advertisers, so they want you on their product all the time. Our phones send notifications all the time. Now the VR headset, does that even make sense? I know I'm all for virtual reality. I'm a really a technologist,
It doesn't. To me, it
but
does not.
imagine this, a thing that covers you completely. No one's going to get out of their house anymore. But that's what they want. They want in you in this digital space because in the digital space, advertising is much cheaper and scalable than in the physical space. If you go out and you see billboards and flyers and ads on TVs, that's exactly what they want. But they want it on a higher level that at every point in time you get ads. But that's not possible in the physical world. That's why
But
they
also,
give
I
it.
feel like they're just freeing up more resource for themselves and like eliminating competition.
The
Because
big
they're not
ones.
just going to leave us be like while we are in the headset. And this is very conspiratorial, but I do
Yeah.
feel like it's reasonable to assume like while you're in this virtual metaverse, which I believe failed, we don't hear about it anymore. They would still be going after real estate. They would still be exploiting the environment. Like nothing will really change. You just will be out of the picture as competition, and you'll be there as a consumer. Consume, consume, consume.
Yeah, but George, let us consume. Let us all
Mhm.
consume. These people are going to die at a certain point, and then we have to take over. And all of these, or the kids of their generation, the kids of these big companies, they're all going to screw up because they're being raised in the same place we are. They're also getting the same things we are. As I said, human beings are not long-sighted. The whole climate change issue, we don't think forward. We only think backwards. While if you look at the Canadian Aboriginal tribes, the American ones, the Australian ones, they had a system. They lived with nature, right? They thought, and it was not, again, that was not long-sightedness. They knew if they don't do this, they won't be able to eat later. But the problem now is that we have scaled our businesses so much and squeezed everything out of the environment that now we can survive for the next 20, 30 years. So we don't see the doom happening. But for those people, if they did not clean up their agriculture, they did not clean up their what do you call it, like hunting and gathering, tomorrow they might not have something to eat. But
Hmm.
we have a lot to eat, so we don't care. We have a lot to survive for now, so we never see the third or fourth order consequences of our actions. And I think that is what it boils down to, George. Human beings in general do not look at the second, third, fourth order consequences of their actions. Our parents didn't when they raised us. Businesses don't when they build social media. They were only thinking of profit. To be really honest, all conspiracy theories aside, it's all about power, and power comes from money in this day and age. They just want money, nothing else. They don't want you to be there on the corner, in my opinion, and just rot away. They want you to provide. They want you to contribute to society because that's how they make money. They won't be
But
able to.
I have to ask, like at the end of the day, what's the point of the money? Like, at what point does it become enough? Because back in the day, it's like my dream is to have $100,000. Okay, now $100,000 can get you a house. My dream is to become a millionaire. Okay, $1 million. You're middle class in some areas. Like, at what point do these people like the Okay, Elon Musk? I want to give him credit. He's actually like innovating, spaceship, cars, whatever. I feel he's innovating. Politically, we can criticize him, but he's innovating. Jeff Bezos, I feel he's manipulating. He made one good thing once, and now he's buying newspapers, influencing elections, and all that other jazz. But like, at what point is it enough? Because like, as you said, we live an easier life, but we're not happy.
Because
So
we
why aren't we happy with all this food, all this technology, all this social media, pornography, beer, cigarettes? No one trying to kill us in a civil war in some areas. Like, at the very least, why are we still not happy?
I think you put it yourself very well, George. You put it yourself very well that when is it enough? That is the cause of all problems. The lack of purpose we have is the lack of enough that we have. We don't know what's enough. Back in the day when our parents started businesses, or our uncles used to work in factories, that was it. They worked there for 50 years, 60 years. They would retire. Some people would retire in one place. My friends' dads just retired from a government organization working there for 55 years, right? Imagine us doing that. I change my job every 2 or 3 years because I can't handle it. I'm like, I'm done, I'm bored, I need to move on. And that's the problem. It's not enough. We want more. We want to see more, we want to look more, and that all of that more happened only because of technology, because technology showed you more. You open Instagram, you see wonderful, endless, beautiful people, endless travel destinations, endless possibilities. That you can be this, George. You want to be an influencer, you can be an influencer, George. You can open up your new business, George. Why don't you try this, George? Why don't you try that, George? And you get tired of it.
To
And
be
because you
fair,
get
we are
tired,
trying to be podcasters too.
exactly. And that's the same thing. Why are we doing this? I have a
Mhm.
full-time job. To be honest, I have a 40-hour work week job. On side of that, I'm trying this new thing that on the side that I told you that we'll talk about at the end of the podcast. On top of that, I'm running a podcast. On top of that, I'm writing newsletters every week. On top of that, I have a wife and a child, and on top of that, I have a family. When
Alhamdulillah.
is it when is it enough? It's never enough. My wife complains to me. Today was a Saturday in the morning. I was writing offers and sending it out to companies. My wife was like, "It's a weekend. What are you doing? It's supposed to be our time." I'm like, "You were sleeping," and I did not want to waste time watching TV or playing games. So I thought, why not? And this why not is the problem for me personally. Why not? Money is on the table. Why not? And there's, I think this is the best way to think about it and finalize this conversation by saying that we should believe and accept that we need to be okay with enough, and we're not. You want a house, you want a family, you want this, you want that, you want that. You should want enough.
I agree.
What is enough?
I agree completely. And it's something we tried to answer, and I don't think a lot of us are reaching the same conclusion. But then I want to ask you, as you said, as we come to the conclusion of this video, what decisions do we need to make to reach that place where we're as close to enough in our lives as we need to be? Like you say, we're looking at social media and we're seeing like these very crazy, wealthy, extravagant lifestyles that we don't necessarily want or need. We are always like buying this stuff, gaming, uh, food, drugs, alcohol. Like, there's no end to how many times we can buy this. Like, we're not going to buy like 5 grams and that's it. We're set for life. Like, what do we need to change?
I think we need to bring back. Moderation in our lives, George. We need to bring back moderation. To be honest, I know you made the comment, we're trying to be podcasters as well, and I completely agree with you. But I personally don't have any social media on my phones. That doesn't mean I don't listen to podcasts. I do on the podcast app as an audio or on YouTube sometimes with the algorithm off. I try to control what I can. On YouTube, I don't see recommendations. I only see what I want to follow. The George's Habib podcast, I have it on my subscription. So when the new podcast comes, I see it. I'm like, okay, I want to watch this one, right? I want to watch Wrestle Talk. I want to watch Number File. I don't want to watch. I don't want to go into the rabbit hole of social media and get stuck there in Reddit, in YouTube, in Instagram, because I only want to watch what I want to watch. You have to take back control is what you have to do. You have to realize when is it enough. And if you want actionable advice from me, one thing I would recommend that really helped me is do 30-day detoxes from everything in life. I've tried it myself. 30 days without sugar, you feel like a different person. 30 days without eating out, you feel like a different person. 30 days without social media, you feel like without your phone, you feel like a different person. And I've personally tried all three of them. Now I only eat sugar once a month, and the rest of them I don't feel any cravings. I don't have any social media on my phone. I only open it on my computer when I have to see, because of course we're there, we're podcasting, we're posting all these reels, so we want to see what's happening. And I only eat takeout once a week, once in 2 weeks. Yesterday we had dinner outside, and today my wife was like, I'm in the mood for dinner outside again. And I said, no, no, we're not going to eat again, because we only had it once a week. We need to take back control. We need to know what's enough. And that will be separate for people. Find your enough and then try to stick to it. That's the only thing I can say.
I'm in agreement. And, it's easy for me to say I'll try to apply that to my life, but we'll see. There's
I would
definitely stuff that needs to be worked on, but I do feel like you have provided valuable words of wisdom to people out there. And as I said, you are married, you have kids, you are working on your projects, you do have a good job. So like the proof is there. So now it's up to the viewers out there to decide if they want to follow your advice and try to follow the same path. So now I want to ask you. You mentioned you do coaching, and you mentioned you have your own business and platform on the side. Could you tell us more about that?
Oh, no, thank you so much for letting me share a little bit about this. Basically, what I do is I provide an agile framework, which is a project management framework a lot of companies use in the software development space. And I try to bring it that to on a personal level, on an individual level. So as we discussed, I'm watching too much social media. How can I fix it? We come up with a plan of iterative improvement, which is the concept of making it everything very small, small, small. That okay, why don't you try spending one day without social media? Why don't you try spending 2 days without social media? And then so on and so on. There will be a time when you'll be spending 30 days without social media and you won't even know. The concept of consistency. That's what we do. The place is called Wastle. We have a website called thisiswustle.com where you can look at it. We
Links down
can
below.
yeah, things are below. So this is Wastle is where we have the whole personal development coaching for one-on-one. But if you'd like to be in a group, that's also fine. On the side, I also write newsletters where I discuss these ideas. The latest newsletter will go on Sunday, in which we discuss quality or maybe different types of prickles, as they call it in Dutch. So those kind of things. So I'm looking forward to hearing from your audience that if they are interested in knowing more about this, they can always find us in all those links. But thank you so much for letting me talk about it, George. I really enjoyed having a conversation, and I really want you to know that there's nothing wrong that you're doing. There's nothing wrong that what any one of us doing. We're just trying to live, right? But we can try to improve ourselves. The George of yesterday is the yardstick for you, not those Instagrams, not those YouTubes. The George of yesterday. If yesterday George had junk food and today George doesn't have junk food, that is a win in my eyes, right? That's how we need to look at it.
Small victories, huh?
Small victories. Thank you so
Inshallah, man. Inshallah.
much.
But again, Ahad, thank you once again. Thank you for letting me nag and complain and whine and moan and groan. And, because that's my place in society. And thank you for actually showing us there's hope out there, providing solutions, being an all around positive person.
Thank you so much for your time. I hope I helped in any way. That's what
You did.
matters.
100% I can say you did.
Thank you so
So,
much.
guys, you know the drill. Follow Ahad's links down below. Follow his social media, subscribe to his channel, and support his content. And for us as well, if you guys haven't already done so, like the episode, subscribe to the channel, share the social media, and get this out there. Ahad, thank you for coming on. And everyone else, please take care and have a good day.